Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm a minute late. The puppy had to go out at the last minute. Welcome to Saturday Live. I think my camera up top is pretty high up there. Let's move that down a little bit. Not sure if anyone will join us tonight. That's okay if they do. If they don't, it's okay. Getting my computer set up here. My TV, just gonna give it every few minutes. So let me know if you're here. You can say hi. Ooh, I'm sweating already. It's warm in here. It says I'm live. Ah, there we go. I see it on the screen. All right, well, let me get my volume thing out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and go. So Karen. Hi, Karen. Yes, I am. I had a massive headache yesterday. I laid down afternoon and didn't get back up till dinner time. And then I just laid down again and I finally got it off my head today. So I asked Christopher it was okay if I switched to this afternoon to go live. So all right, so we're going to make a Christmas card today, at least one. I have two, I hope, because I did a little prep ahead of time. And if you do Candies live on the website, you will find, and I can get the link here. Let me see if I can get the link here quick. Let me go in and let me see if I can grab it here. Copy. There we go. Hi, Karen. I'm doing better. I am doing much better. Like I said, I had a little bit of a headache yesterday. We had some storms. I mean, I woke up and it was pitch black. You couldn't even see across the street. And just trying to see where we are live here. Looks like we might not be live on Facebook, which is weird. Let me see if I can change that. Nope, there it is. There it is. Just kind of going here. Let's see if we can add this channel. All right. I'm gonna try to add that. Hi, Pam. Hi, Mama. Anyway, so I think I got that switched over to Facebook too. Like I said, I had a little bit of a headache. I woke up, we shut all the blinds, and Fletch was really crying, whining. So we went downstairs to the living room to sleep instead of the bed. And I woke up about 4 o'clock. He was just whining and I couldn't even see across the street. It was storming so bad. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. So, all right. So we're going to make a Christmas card today, and we're going to use part of the new release. I am going to use the gnome, what's it called? Gnome Books stamp set. There, and you can see it's very well loved already. I've already stamped out a bunch of images. I use the SVG file to cut a bunch of them out, and I have one little guy here. This is all the coloring I really am going to do today on camera, and then we will have the rest of it. I shouldn't need to do the rest of it coloring wise. So I want to turn this little guy into like a Santa gnome. That's what I saw when I saw this. So, and I will show you why I say that. So we are going to go ahead and I'm going to do red. I'm going to get my cheaters out here. And I think I'm going to have time for a second card, which is going to be a completely different type of card, but it's one that's an easy go-to card. So we're going to combine this with a couple of older sets that I know are available in the store. The Welcoming Hearth stamp set and the Good Tidings stamp set are the couple of other stamp sets we have. And then I also pulled the scripted 4x4 stamp set because I thought that would be fun to add for a background. So, hi, Michelle. Hi, Miss Penny. How are you guys? So, like I said, I had this. I've had headaches since I was a little girl, but I don't have them as bad. And yesterday I couldn't even. I had the lights off at work. Nobody was in the office in the morning, and around noon I just told my boss. I said, I think if it's okay, I'd like to just go home and lay down. And he said, absolutely. It was kind of a quiet afternoon anyway. And I just told him if he needed something to let me know, but I didn't shake it. I took I don't know how much meds. And finally this morning, when I finally slept all night, it was gone this morning. So, which is what I was hoping it would do at the latest. So, I just stamped this out on some perfect blend paper after I cut. I've shown videos before where I cut the stock I cut the SVG files ahead of time and I set up my little templates and stamp them out with the Raven ink. And then I'm just using some Olo markers to color this guy in here a little bit. So I said, we're just going to do a very quick coloring on him. I'm going to give him some more pinky toned hands and or nose and face. So this is just our little elf gnome that's kind of reading a book by the fire. He's going to be reading a book by a fireplace. So I'm just going to add a little bit of gray to his face, and then I'm going to just pretend this is his beard in here, and I'm going to add a little bit of gray in there. I'm just going to kind of show you. Just kind of added some dots. Let's see if I can get it without it being too fuzzy. And then what I like to do, that was WG3. We're just going to grab the WG0 and just kind of feather that out a little bit. And then, of course, we need his shoes and his book. And I'm just going to do black shoes, and I'm using this WG9. Pretty dark color. I don't like to do too dark of colors, but I'm going to do that a little bit just to kind of accentuate that to make it kind of look more blacky. And then I'll go down. Michelle, I switched to Olos actually over a year ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago. I had with the derecho dried up all of my Copics, pretty much. Well, that's not true. Most of my Copics, the ones I was using the most. And for me to go out and buy and replace the ones that need to replace, I could have bought an all new, I would have had to buy all new markers. And Christopher got some Olos in 2 years ago, and I tried them and I've kind of not gone back. So hi Kelly. So I love them. I love them. I keep them at the little, as Amy R called them, stublets. You know, I still have a few, but I gave most of my Copics to my sister, my big sister, because I just wasn't using them. And I love them. So I've got a couple of marker boxes from Blue Sparkle. I have just two. I may get a third one, but I'm going to probably get a stand for them for my marker and then just keep these for travel, because you don't need to take all your markers with you when you travel. I mean, we all do, but I figure if I do, I tend not to use them. So I figure if I have at least two of these, I can bring at least 2 or 3 of each color family with me when I travel, because I don't travel as much as I used to craft. Then I can have a few colors with me if I decide I want to color, but I don't have to bring them all. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some brown markers to color in this books. It's okay, Michelle. I haven't colored on camera as much lately because nobody really wants to see somebody coloring in a live as much. And for me to color live, I really want to take my time, but you don't want to see that for an hour, right? So I try to color off screen more. I did want to just do one marker just so we could kind of talk about this stuff that's, what we're doing today in life while I was doing a little coloring. So I tend to do a 3 done blend, and I do I go darkest to lightest. I learned lightest to darkest, but I tend to go darkest to lightest, just because I've been coloring now for a few years, and it's the way I like to go. But lightest to darkest, if you're a newbie, is better, just because you can control the color a little bit more. Like if you use the light color first and saturate everything, then you'll get a better blend until you get used to the blend, if that makes any sense. So for my pages, I'm just going to grab another marker here. I am feeling better. Like I said, I have a slight headache just right this minute. I've had headaches. I'll have headaches for my life, but it's not horrible. It wasn't like yesterday. I think it's because I just got overheated here a few minutes ago, and I had my little fan. Turned it on right there. That will help. Hi, Isis. You're away scrapbooking, card making. Well, thank you for joining us while you're scrapbooking and card making. So, all right. So I got my little Nomi guy done. And now we're going to kind of build our card. Like I said, I stamped and colored everything else kind of off screen. We'll do for our scene, but we're going to do just a little bit more setup for this card, and then I'm going to move on to a second card. So we may be a little early today, but you know me, I tend to go over. I am going to go ahead and let's see. I got poison apple. I have poison apple and holly. So I am going to start trying to leave some of the things I might use off and on through my lives in my collection all the time, like Not Your Mama's or the embossing powder, things like that. Just because I tend to use them more and I don't want to have to take in them in and out. So I'm going to cut this one down to 4¼ by 5½. They are such a great marker. Michelle, yes, Chris, I did a watercoloring with her a few years ago, and it was just so fun, and she was good. I took classes at Scrapmania with Nancy. She taught classes. That's my local scrapbook store in Cedar Rapids. For those of you who don't know, I don't want to use my mini. I want my regular Misty, and that's where I learned how to do my Olo marker or my Copic market coloring. I went down every month. I don't know if it was once or twice a month for a while. But a stick step mat here, yes. And did that for about, I don't know if it was a year or if it was like 6 months. And we learned we colored each week. And she kind of talked about different things, and she recommended the colors she liked. And then we used those. So Michelle, it's everyone's preference. Yeah, I've had migraines off and on since I was a little girl, and like I said, I usually can deal with them, but yesterday my eyes didn't even want the light. So Nancy is very nice. So this is the scripted 4x4 stamp set, and we're just going to add a little bit of inking, and I'm just going to use the embossing ink, I think, for this. Oh, the helicopter's coming in. That's not a good sign. I'm not going to worry about the center so much, just because I'm just trying to get a little bit of color back there. I don't need like a huge, it's just a little extra something to the background. We'll go ahead and finish the bottom section, and then we'll move it over and do the other side. So just a little texture, because this card can be this is a fairly simple card. Both the cards I have today are fairly simple. I think yesterday might have been, I don't know if it was today, if it was last night or today, there was only a couple virtual spots left that if you were able to CYOE, because they were going to ship out those packages. So if you were interested in that, I'm going to go ahead and take this out of my stick and stamp mat now. Today would probably be one of the very last days, if it's not already off on the event page. Okay. Wanted to mention that to you. I am not going to be there in person this year. I'm going to be home. I was telling people, that we had 10,000 people coming to town. Well, now they're telling us with this bicycle race this bicycle thing going on, it's going to be 20,000 people. So it's just going to be it was just too hard for me to get away. And they're all going to be about a block and a half away from me for RAGBRAI, which is the registered annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa. And I just want to make sure I'm here helping manhandle the puppy with the people that are going to be in the area. We can't even park on our street because they're going to have the shuttle going back and forth. So, we can park on the west side of the street, but not on the street side where my house is on. So, and if it rains, we don't park in our driveway, in our backyard. So, all right. So there, I just made a quick background. And now we're going to go ahead and build our little scene here. And then add some fun. Let me see. I want to make sure I cover my stick and set mat up here quick. So this is part of the Holiday Archives release. It's not used very much. I haven't seen it used very much right now. I'm going to make this another card with this one. It's called Glad Tidings. And it's got this great tree and this wreath. It's got some snowflakes and some Christmas presents. And it says, have yourself a merry little Christmas. sending you Christmas blessings, good tidings of great joy, I believe. And it's a great stamp site to have. And because of this tree in particular and this wreath, because you can do a lot of very simple cards with this. And I'll show you a simple card with this after a little bit. I took pictures the last time they came to time too, Michelle, actually. So, and it was kind of fun. This time I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to craft. And well, the CYE is going on, so I'm going to craft. So here is the Welcoming Hearth stamp set. I did check the stamp and die is still available for the hearth. I don't remember. I know the mantle stamp set. So I'll pull that out of here. This is mantle 1, and I would love to see people purchase this. This was from Mary Making a couple years ago because Christopher hinted to maybe we could have other mantle sets that could build on our mantle. I mean, these little pieces fit perfectly on our little mantle. There's a Halloween one and a couple Christmas ones. And then there's a wreath, but I am just going to use the Welcoming Hearth tonight. And then I use the die to cut it out. And this is what it looks like through the magic of television. What a fabulous stamp set. You can do so much with this. And there's like, I actually thought the first time I saw this, these were like little rolls of wrapping paper, but they're wood. So I don't know if there may be 1 or 2 dies left for this stamp set. But I know that the stamp set was still available. But you wouldn't necessarily have to. You could do some masking and do that. So anyway, I stamped this out and cut it out, and that's going to go on our backdrop here. And he's just going to center on our card. And then we've got our little Nomi here, and he's just going to sit in front of this fireplace, and he's reading, and he's waiting for Santa. Now, we could have decorated it, but what I decided to do instead, thank you, is I took this wreath instead of the one from the mantle set, and I already colored it and die cut it out. Let me see if I can get it in without being too. It's got a couple candy canes, and it's got some like beading through it, but I just decided to make that beading green. So it was like 2 different greens. There's some Christmas balls, the candle, and some bells. And I thought this would be fun to put right on I like a big, beautiful wreath. So I thought that would be fun to put there. And then we've got our little Santa guy. And then I also die cut and colored some of the presents that we can sit down below here. So that is kind of the basics of our card. Fairly simple. It's just, and then we need a sentiment. So let's get putting this together. And then we will move on to our second card. For the mantle, or for the fireplace, I was like, is this not sticking? What's going on here? Oh, my ATG gun's being dumb. There we go. Okay. It's like, where's the tape? There we go. There we go. I am going to stick just the fireplace down. I think this is a great stamp set. It's just, it's got a great price point too, because it's a 4x4 stamp set, and it can just, it can be the background for so many things. And I'm going to point out something here. When I pull it over, let's see. Okay. I'm just going to add a little extra wet glue to the corners, just because that I don't always get the tape gun right in the corners. And we're just going to center him right in the center here. What I wanted to show you is that you can also, and I've done this before. Thank you. There's one left of the bundle that has, okay, all of them. I knew there was like one. I thought there's one left. I thought of the mantle die set, but I thought the mantelpiece stamp set was available. And I know that there was a few of just the hearth. But if you wanted the bundle to get with the mantelpieces, there was only one left. So thank you, Penny. I think when I added it to my collection, I just added the hearth stamp and die bundle. So, but what I wanted to show you is this part right here, you could make and put silver and make it a mirror, like colored in gray, and make it more like aged mirror, and then darken around the corners, and it'd be really fun. But I wanted to put it there. You could even probably color it in, make it kind of like a television if you really wanted to. So, and I just fussy cut this out. I just stuck my scissors through and used just really pointy scissors, and I'm going to stick that guy on here, but we're going to pop him up. And I've kept all my little pieces of foam tape from past lives that I didn't use right here. And we're going to pop up. So I'm just going to kind of cut that down a little bit. And all that good stuff. So have you guys who's purchased from the release yet, the book lover release yet, and what are your favorites? It's been so fun. I actually plan the rest of the afternoon to, yes, the hearth stamp and hearth die are available individually. You are right. So, you know, and the thing with the hearth, the hearth stamp set, you wouldn't need the die for that one because it's fairly straight lines. Or you could just stamp it as your background. But I am looking forward to playing with the rest of this release, the page turner release. But I wanted to play Christmas in July since that was kind of our theme for this week. And I wanted to showcase one of the stamp sets that I didn't have a chance to make some samples of beforehand. Okay, we are going to pop up our presents because I think they need to be popped up a little bit. And we got to add some sparkle and a sentiment yet. Let's see here. I think, I'm trying to think. I have some of the release. I have a little bit more of the release coming to me. I have the stamps, the bookworm paper or creative cards, which I haven't even had a chance to go through yet. I pulled them out. I was thinking about using them today. And then I remembered I wanted to do this Christmas in July card. So I was really excited to pull this out. And these gnomes are just adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy up too, and then we're going to add a little sparkle and a sentiment. And we are done with this first card. I'm just going to stick that on. This is just some of our foam tape. I love it. I still have my original one that I think I got from last year. This might be my second one. I don't remember. I know I got my first one at CYOE last year. So, all right. And we're going to stick this guy right down here in the front reading his book. Just waiting. He's reading the night before Christmas. Now, I do not have good penmanship. Somebody with good penmanship, you could write something in here, you know, Santa or something else, if you wanted to. And we've just got this fun card. So now we need to add some sparkle. And of course, I'm going to pour out my ornamental. Well, no, we're not going to use that yet. I'm going to, yes, I am, because that's what I put in my chart. I'm just going to shake it up and squirt a little bit down in a paintbrush, and we're going to just paint a little bit on here. I'm going to add a little bit to the bells to give them a little bit more gold, a little bit on the candle, and maybe some on the ornaments. The other three little, the red things are berries. And then I think we need a little sparkle on his hat, just because he's a little Christmas elf. So we're just going to paint a little bit on. And I might just do one edge of his hat. Maybe not. Let's just put a little sparkle on his hat. You guys know me, I love my ornament golds. We're going to really use it in our next card. So I am going to be honest with you. Michelle, you know her, Chris Dayton, I believe it was Chris, a few years ago, made very similar cards to what we're going to do on our next card. And I have made them over the years with a few different stamp sets. So look at the shimmer on that. Isn't that fun? Oh, my camera paused. There we go. So just a little bit of shimmer, and we need a sentiment, but I'm going to let it dry, and we'll add a sentiment here in a few minutes. Okay, we're just going to let that one sit and dry because then we stamp our sentiments out. So for our next card, I'm going to use the Holly cardstock. And I believe I have an A2 panel right here. And we're going to do some heat embossing. So I'm going to grab my mini Misty this time. Stick this down. I actually made some cards like this for my mom. Mom remembers. I know I made some for her. My mom has taught Spanish a few years, and I had a couple different small private schools, and she had some, and I had some of the Feliz Navidad on here, and I think it might have been the stamp. It might have been a different stamp. So she'll remember this card. but I think this is a very fun card. So this is the Glad Tidings Tree Holly cardstock. We're going to quick prep this with some anti-static powder, and it's not going to matter too much because of what we're going to do with this card. If you get some splash, oh, I got to plug in my heat tool. I forgot to do that. And of course, I plugged my computer in the wrong thing, so I can't club it. Okay. We need our embossing ink. And the reason I like to do this one like this, and especially, like I said, with any kind of tree, it can be a Christmas tree, it can be a pine tree, it can be non-decorative tree, but a nice big tree that kind of fills the page. You could do this with a poinsettia. We had that one poinsettia stamp. That would be a beautiful card that would work with that as well. We're just going to heat emboss in some gilded. All right. And instead of coloring, because sometimes you see an image like this and you don't necessarily want to color all of that. Let me grab my gilded here quick. Turn my fan off so things don't go flying. And we're going to throw some gilded embossing powder on there. And our card is almost done. It's almost done. Okay. Now, before I heat set this, I'm going to actually stamp out my sentiment as well. So let us clean this off quick. I just wipe it when I use embossing ink because I can just, I don't mind the little bit of embossing ink being left behind on my stamp a little bit. I just kind of wipe it off. All right, so just another piece of holly cardstock here. Oops, horse. And we're gonna grab, we're gonna do two at a time. We're gonna do the I believe. We'll do that up here in this corner because we can use that for our little guy here because he's reading. And have yourself a merry little, let's do good tidings of great joy. I want a little thicker one this time. I haven't used this stamp. So, all right, make sure we're kind of straight here. I use the grid lines on my Misty to kind of check. I mean, not that nowadays you can cut, one's not straight. You can kind of use your trimmer to do straight lines as well. That's close enough. All right. So if you go to Holiday Archive, you will see all of the holiday stamps that are from their stamps we brought back for the holidays. And when they're gone, they're gone. So there's some that have only a handful left, and there's some that have a few left. So you definitely want to check those out. There's some really good ones that can make some easy, fun, good cards, especially if you saw any of the beautiful cards the design team made last week with some of them. I think we featured 90% of them. There might have been a couple that I did not have samples for yet. And I know there'll be a few more Christmas cards that are coming up over the next week or so from some of the members. So, all right, so let's heat emboss this. That was the gilded again. I'm gonna warm it up on my arm off screen here a little bit. Oh, it's just beautiful. Look at how pretty that is. I love when the gilded melts because it just is so pretty when it's shiny and pops like that. And look at how pretty that is. And then our tree. And the heat gun's nice and hot. It melts really fast. A little heating from the bottom side. Oh, Isis, weren't they beautiful? I loved them too. I want to play with that set some more too. They were fun, such fun, beautiful cards. So we're gonna let these sit for just a minute because I need to wipe them off. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna grab an ink. And I'm gonna grab one of my new I just got the Stellar ink pads last weekend, you guys. So I am gonna grab the Bee Sting ink because that's the only red right now that he has in the Stellar, and I want to use that because I wanted a little bit deeper color. And then I'm gonna go ahead and wipe these off from any extra. Just kind of touching it, make sure it's nice. Just wipe that off extra. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do, and yeah, I have a little bit of overshine right here, you can see, but we're gonna fix that. So, all right, let's find my red brush. And we're gonna grab my Stellar ink pads. Look at, they're just so pretty. I have not used a lot of them yet. I've only used a couple. And do I have my little, I do have my pigment palette here. Grab my little pigment palette and just kind of, okay. And then we're gonna go ahead, I think I'm gonna actually put a piece of paper underneath this because it's hard to see the color. And I'm gonna go ahead and we're just gonna try to deepen our colors, and it may not, I might have to switch. I might switch to a different color because you may not see the difference here. Yeah, this one is a little bit too light. So we're gonna switch. And what I'm gonna do is we're gonna switch, and I'm going a little crazy here. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be very careful. I'm gonna use the Weeping Willow instead. Because I know that I think, like I said, I saw a card similar to this Chris Dayton had done a few years ago, and I thought it was fun. Now that is going to be perfect. We're just darkening up the edges, but we don't want a lot of dark. Just want to make sure my camera is, I swear I put it, it's backwards again, isn't it? It is. I promise I mirrored it. Well, I will fix that here in just a second so you can actually read my card. I put it on mirrored. Restream. Hi, Jana. Is it Jana or Jana from South Alabama? Welcome, welcome. I'm just making a couple of quick Christmas cards. The first card was a little bit more work because I did a bunch of Olo coloring, alcohol marker coloring, but I did that off camera. So now we're just adding and deepening up the edge of this card. So you could do this with any color. The name of this set is called Glad Tidings. So mine's older, but it came from the archives. Glad Tidings. And it is in the Candi's collection. I did do that. There is not a stamp or SVG card die for it, but it wasn't too hard to cut the images out if you really wanted to. But I just think it's a fun Christmas card to have, or Christmas set to have, because it has a nice tree that's got a different, I'll hold it up to the camera here once I get through this darkening edges. I just love how that darkens up. How it darkens up, or just has just enough of the fun. Here, see, so you could color it. You know, there's lots of things in the tree. You know, there's some ribbons and there's ornaments and there's a star. But I think it's fun for just heat embossing, to be honest with you. There's a bell down here. And there's a star here. I just think it's fun for heat embossing. And then look at, when you come up close, you can see that it is dark. You can see that darkness of this. Okay. Now what we're going to do, let me wipe this off before I get ink on everything. This is where the magic happens, in my opinion. Let me grab my splat box. We're going to take this and we're going to take our ornament gold. Hi, Christy. How are you? I popped on briefly. You guys were on. I saw you last night briefly, but I was not feeling well last night. So I was only on for a few minutes. Thank you. So what I like to do, okay, I like to take this and I either spray it on the edge of my desk, like over there, or I spray it in my garbage can. And I'm just going to spritz it. This is really going to make this card just pop. Thank you, Christy. Because it's just, you know, it's a Christmas card. You want it to just sparkle. Now, I will not do that to the sentiment because I want the background to just sparkle. So let's kind of hit this, it dries briefly. And you add that sparkle and that glittery. without having to add glitter. And you can just splatter, but man, what a difference that little bit of sparkle makes. I mean, okay, you ready? Look at this. Look at that. I mean, and it's not even showing well up on camera as well. I mean, you can see it, but in person, you just see that sparkle. It's so pretty. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut this down just a little bit because yeah, you were a little nuts. I was watching. I was listening a little bit. Like I said, it was a brief moment, but I didn't watch a lot of TV last night. Tom had the basketball game on, and I was just kind of laying down with it, my head covered a little bit. And then I went upstairs and I decided to I actually put on a little Christmas music. That's what I like to listen to especially if I'm going to instrumental Christmas music, if I have a little bit of a headache, because it gives me something to focus on besides, like if I hear a clock ticking or water running or something like that. And I don't hear the sound, I hear the music and I can focus on that. Okay. So I cut that down to 4 5 1/4. Now you have two options here don't know, did I have another one cut down here? I might have to cut down. You can make a full card panel. Let me draw it. You can do it two ways. So here's the regular A2 card base. And then what I would do is I would put a white matting layer on the inside, or I would just write with a gold pen. So you have two options for this. You can pop it on just some red like this. But because I darkened that up a little bit, we might just want to pop it on some white. One of our card bases here. Or see the difference on that with the white? I like the white better than the red. Or we can grab some of that gold cardstock, like the Craft. Oh, I have it here somewhere. Botanic Gold Studios. Oh, I don't even know if mine's even handy. We've got the glitter stock. There's that glitter stock that's in stock. And then they have the matte gold. I swear I had some, but I guess I don't know where it is. Might be in my little bin here. Hold on. I didn't have that prepared because I forgot about it. We got the glitter stock, so you could put it on that glitter stock. That little extra gold like that, which is what I think I'm going to do. And then we'll just put it on our card base. However, I am a paper snob, as in I love all my specialty cardstocks. This is that self-adhesive glitter stock that we have in the store. Let's see, it's the glitter sticky sheet gold. I like to save my glitter stock as much as possible. So let's cut this down. We're going to cut this in half. I might not do it for you guys tonight. Oh, I know. And mine wasn't so much to focus, Christy, as it was because I had a headache, and it's just soft enough that that with piano music that I could hear it, but it wouldn't hurt my head. So I'm probably going to just use up my glitter stock, you guys. But usually what I will do is I will cut out the center of this with some other piece and then glue it down, and you would never know. But for today, I'm just going to go ahead and go like this. Okay, so where's my card panel? There's my card base. So this is an adhesive back. I've been actually not used this before. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull back a little bit of that adhesive, and I'm going to just stick it down. And if my white is off a little bit, I'll just cut it off. And then so up here, I'm not worried about that as much. I can just trim that off a little bit. pull my backing off because it's such adhesive back, and then I can just trim off the white that I didn't get on. Then I didn't have to mess with any of that. Oh, my scissors is in the way. That stickiness, because it has that adhesive back to it already. You can use, I know a lot of people sometimes will use the corner of their MISTI, and of course it didn't quite get this corner, but we could refold it a little bit and just kind of zhuzh it, but it's okay. I'll send this one to my mom. Mom, you don't care, right? There's a little white showing in that corner. And I got to trim that off. I'll trim that off once we're done here. And then we're going to glue this down. Now for this, I'm going to pop it up. I want to add a little more drama to this card. And I am going to add a bunch of our foam tape right to the back. I tend to not do this too much because I like to save my foam tape, but I'm also trying to be very good and start using my supplies. So for some dramatics, it's a Christmas card. We need to have it look more dramatic and more fun. We're going to go ahead and peel off. And then, okay, work with me here. There we go. And we're going to add a little bit of liquid glue as well because this is glitter stock. And when you have glitter stock, it's nice to add a little extra glue. Not for the wiggle room so much, but just to add that extra adhesion. So center that as best as we can. And then we've got that. And then we've got, like, just look at how beautiful that is, just like that. If you didn't want to put anything else. Now, if you had a big die that was like a peace or Merry Christmas type die, you could probably do an inlay with that and like cut it out and like do an eclipse card. And that would be just simple enough where you could see it, but yet you wouldn't have to. But we're going to add this sentiment on top. So let us cut this down. Cut down. I'm going to use the, I believe, for our gnome card I made earlier. Just using the lines of our stamp set to give me, ooh, that did not get straight. Give me, there we go. Much better to use for my lines. I'm just going to line that up as straight as I can. I feel like I get really quiet when I have to line things up. And then we've got this beautiful sentiment to go right on top, but it can get a little lost. So we're going to put a little, but let's cut this other one out here quick too. Okay, now this one I noticed I did not stamp straight. So we're going to use the lines. I'm using the lines of my trimmer right here. Sorry, I'm at the bottom. It's going to be hard to see on camera to line it up and fix. Excuse me, you guys. You know, I don't know how many people, I did something I've only done it once ever before in my life. I came up to my craft room and I brought a can of diet root beer because it just sounded good and some tea with me. And I knocked my tea, which is in like a Yeti type cup with a lid on it, on over, and it just hit my table just right and exploded all over my floor. So my floor is soaking wet. Oh, I was just like, you know, and Fletch, of course, was in there trying to help. I guess he was trying to help, you know, like a good little puppy. So this is about just over a quarter of an inch. So we're going to just kind of make this. I'm not going to quite measure it. I don't want it 3/4 of an inch. I'm just going to cut it. Oop, at the bottom of my trimmer sometimes doesn't like to go through. So we got this, which is going to cover quite a bit of our tree. So we may put it down kind of towards the bottom. I haven't decided yet. Yeah, let's attach that and trim that down a little more. So for this one, I'm going to do both liquid and paper tape again. I know fortunately this carpet, if, you know, we stay here forever, which, you know, is one of the options for us. This might be our forever home. We will have to replace the carpets. Tom's mom was a heavy smoker and So we will replace the carpets, but we decided to, if this is not our forever home, we want to leave the carpets as is because we have a puppy and we don't want to, or a dog, and we don't want to change carpets or anything, especially since, like I said, if it's not our forever home, we might have a different taste than somebody else. So it's all cleaned up. You can't tell other than the fact my carpet is wet. So it's all good. But I'm like, how did I do that? I mean, my trim feels like it needs to be, maybe it needs to be a little bit, it needs to be sharpened a little bit. I know this is glitter stock, and glitter stock doesn't cut, especially with this thickness of this. Thank you. It's an easy one, in my opinion. So, all right. So we've got this, and then I am just gonna see. I cut that down. I just trimmed it. I eyeballed it, and we're just gonna put it right down smack dab over the center. Oh, it's not quite. We gotta go over this way just a little bit, so I can even up the edges of the red. And there we go. I mean, that's that. Look at how simple that was. That was like nothing. So thank you. I've done it with green. I've done it with teal. You know, I mean, and you can do it with green and silver. Obviously, you could do it with teal and silver or teal and gold if you want it a little bit non-traditional. Oh no, it's not. It was just tea. It was unsweetened tea with just a little bit of sugar in it, so it's not sticky or anything. I wiped it up real good fast. So, but there we go. So we've got this card. This is our number. I'm not going to add anything else to it. I don't want to add any more gems or anything else because I think I mean, it's got plenty of sparkle. But look at how pretty that is with that basic camp. And then we have this card, which I haven't put on a card base yet. And I have our little, I believe, and I'm thinking, you know what? I might pop it right there. I think that's cute. So I love the scripty stamp set that went down behind because it's kind of reminiscent of that he's reading a book. And I'm just going to slide this right in on top of the book. And there we go. So there we go. We just have to put it on a card base and we are good to go. And I'm just kind of showing I had a little bit of sparkle. You can it's just, like I said, the sparkle. Oh, I know she would love this card. So would Melissa and the gnomes. The gnome book. As soon as I saw this gnome set stamp, I thought of Melissa. So and this is like I said, this is the wreath and the presents from this same stamp set. So there we go, you guys. We've got about 10 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, you were welcome to, go, but if you have any questions, quick, if there's something from the release, I have most of it, but I don't have all of it yet. I will be using some of that release next week with that. Thank you, Mom. Yeah, I actually just found a gnome die set on DStash that I have never seen before. I just got it in the mail today, so I'm excited to play with it. I want to take it apart and play with it. So thank you, Kate. I love this card. It's such a different type of card, but it's so simple. Like I said, I got to trim that little bit off there. You can use it with any big stamp. Oh, I want to show you the stamp I was talking about that you could do this with. I think there are only a handful of these stamp sets left, but you could do the same thing with this big point setup. You could stamp it in like 1 and 2 spaces in gold, spritz it, and put one of the sentiments right in the middle, and you'd have the exact same type of card, just different. So thank you. So, I mean, they're completely different cards using some of the same stamps, the same stamp set, but. Oh, thanks, Christy. Yeah, I thought when I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, he got to sit in front of the fireplace. I also thought you could put this in front of the library cards. The card panels, like these card panels. If you haven't seen these yet, if you haven't seen the unboxing, or Christopher showing these yet. I thought this guy would sit, he'd be fun to sit in front of one of these card panels. I was originally thinking of putting the fireplace in front of it, but it didn't make sense to have a fireplace in front of the pan. But you know, you could have him sitting right here in this little chair eating, you know, or in this on the floor right here reading, you know, or in that chair, you know, in front of this. So it'd be fun. Yes, the large archive, the large, yes, there is that large wreath too. I don't think mine is handy right now. And you could do the same thing as that Isis. That would be exactly right. And I believe there's also one called the birthday wreath. It's a bunch of birthday presents. You could do that too for a fun look for presents. So I appreciate you guys all so much. Thank you for joining me today. Sorry it was not our normal live. Next week we will be at our normal scheduled time, hopefully. And then the week after that is CYOE. So I will not be live that Friday night, but I hope you guys all have the great rest of your weekend and check out the holiday archive release or the page turner release. All right. Have a good night. Bye all. It's this Friday? Sorry, Penny. Wait, it's this Friday? Why did I think it was next Friday? What? What? I'm now so confused. Okay, wait. It's this weekend? Oh my gosh, I have my week spun. Thank you. I'm so glad you said something, Penny. Okay, so I won't be live this Friday. I'll be
No,
live the
I was going
next
to
Friday.
say Saturday, you
I'm still
Friday
live,
night,
Penny.
yeah. No, you're not. Oh, yes,
Oh,
you are.
I'm gonna end. Penny was just on with us, guys, so I'm gonna end the stream though quick.